mikfitfam. Mick here with another video, another informative video, and today's topic is going to be the 10 best. Did I just hold up 5? It's going to be the 10 best Army jobs for civilian life in 2020. So basically, joining the Army, you know, it could be rewarding and all that good stuff, a rewarding career, if you will. There are over 180 different job titles in the Army for opportunities of retirement and benefits and all that great stuff, right? But if you don't plan on making the Army a career and you're just going to join and do your first term and then separate and do something with what you probably learned in your MOS, then these top 10 Army jobs are going to be for you so you can make the moolah when you get out. What I'm trying to say is these jobs are going to do well with the transition over to civilian life. Alright, now let's jump into it. Alright, so I'm going to rank this one at number 10 is a Army nurse. So becoming an Army nurse is probably like one of the most intellectual things you can do, challenging jobs that the Army has to offer. The advanced individual training, or for those who don't know what advanced individual training is, the school that you go to learn your job is going to be 68 Charlie. It's 52 weeks long. I know an Army nurse and they say it is ridiculously crazy, but it's doable. You just gotta apply yourself. As an Army nurse, you're gonna have like all these rare opportunities to engage, network, both mentally and physically. According to the Department of Labor, between 2016 and up until 2026, the need for nurses is expected to grow about 15 to 16%, much more than the national average. So, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, if you know anything about anything, we all know that nurses is one of those jobs that is very much needed, especially male nurses. You're gonna have a leg up for male nurses, only due to like lifting and stuff, if you will. Not saying that female nurses are gonna have that issue, though they have machines and stuff to help with that. But I know a couple years back they said male nurses were very, very much needed. But just nurses in general is gonna be a key opportunity to capitalize in the civilian side. The average salary for nurses as of last year was $71,700 on average. So going into 2020, I'm pretty sure it's going to be even killed and stay the same, if not go up. Number 9, air traffic controller, or 15 Quebec. So after a few years in the Army as an air traffic controller, and you get ratings and learn everything you possibly need to know about FAA and controlling airspace, you can easily earn over $100K without any additional education as an air traffic controller. Can you believe it? So, because of the potential consequences and stuff involved as a 15 Quebec or air traffic controller, if you will, the job is intense, but it's an intense, quick 15 weeks of advanced individual training, which takes place obviously soon as you qualify after basic training. So skills that you're gonna learn can include like management, operational procedures, communication, and radio familiarization. So air traffic control operators, they speak directly to the pilots, instructing them on safe takeoff and landing procedures. They're basically the eyes and ears of landing strips and airports. Although in practice, the jobs is seemingly safe, if a 15 Quebec messes up, the consequences can be disastrous. Number 8, wheeled vehicle mechanic, or 91 Bravo. So wheeled vehicle mechanic, they make the list because, I mean, there isn't any place in America, in the world, or I mean any of that matter that doesn't need a good mechanic. You know what I'm saying? You're always going to need mechanic. There's always going to be vehicles that need to be tinkered with. So in addition, while in the service, it's up to you as mechanics to keep troops moving, right? So because the Army relies on vehicles, it's just about the major mission. You know, wheeled vehicle mechanics are vital to the Army's success in moving pieces and parts, getting troops to where they need to be on the ground. Another reason for joining the Army's 91 Bravo wheel mechanic is good. Ideal for interest requirements. They aren't as daunting as some of the others on the list. Average automotive mechanic salary in 2019 was $39,000, just a little over. I mean, it's for some you're gonna say, okay, well, that's low, but it just depends on where you're at. This is just a start and kill. You can make more if you're if you work for a high-end automotive, like Mercedes, Audi, and all that good stuff. You're gonna make pretty decent money. Number 7 is 11 Bravo infantry. Yes, it made the list. And the reason why I say this is because when you join the infantry and the things that you learn, and when you get out, you can apply it to civilian. They say infantry, there's nothing you could do outside in the civilian world of infantry, but there really is. So after you leave service, if you don't plan on working like private military contractor and stuff like that, simply just having served the infantry can land you a good job. And this is why I say this. Many companies, they recognize infantrymen as natural leaders, if you will, people with great attitudes as far as being a go-getter, because you're a hard charger, right? You're infantry, all hool and all that good stuff. And yes, I said 2 scoops of hool. Even further, the potential employee sees Army infantry on your resume. For him or now her, they're gonna immediately have a sense of trust and camaraderie with that person. So that would look good on your resume if you're trying to go for a job. Now, being an infantryman, you're not gonna go for a job like brain surgeon or nothing like that, but just knowing that you're a go-getter and you get after it and you're pretty much a natural leader as far as being an infantryman, it's gonna look good. As far as practical like application to go for what you'll learn in the infantry, the actual civilian options are limited, but as previously mentioned, there's private military contracting such as academic, KBR, stuff like that. Average private military contracting salary for last year was between $15,000 and $22,000 per month. Per month. And don't get me started if you go overseas and all that good stuff. But infantry made number 7 on my list. Number 6, 12 Tango, which is a Army technical engineer. So with this MOS, you're gonna get skills that will lead specifically to leadership roles in the civilian world of construction, that is. So Army technical engineers, they survey, they draft up plans for construction projects, similar to duties of constructions for sites, well, construction sites like foreman or even an architect would do. Duties of a technical engineer are to perform more or less stationary than actual carpenters, plumbers, and general laborers. A technical engineer will use computer programs to draft up blueprints or even spend time in the lab analyzing materials. Remember how I said a couple numbers ago that mechanics make the list because they can find work virtually anywhere. This is the same with technical engineers. There's always going to be a need for engineers. Average pay for a construction foreman in 2019 was almost $63,000, give or take. That's just a baseline. So I mean, hey, go be a 12 Tango technical engineer and convert it over to civilian life. Number 5 on my list is a 35 Lima, which is counterintelligence agent. So aside from the fact that CI agents get to get a cool badge and all that good stuff, I know y'all don't really care about that. I'm just being funny. Dry humor, right? they're some of the most stimulating and interesting MOS available to the Army. So like job location includes stateside, overseas assignments, and all that good stuff, yada yada. So due to the classification nature of CI agents work, potential agents must be eligible for top secret clearance. And boom, top secret clearance is gold. It just gives you a leg up on your resume, and it depends on what you want to do. Like even if you don't want to do stuff in as a CIA agent on the converted over to the civilian side, having a top secret clearance in general is just going to be a good look. So in short, this means that, you know, no federal arrests, no records and all that stuff, court martials, no history of emotional disorders. You have a top secret clearance if you qualify. So if you're thinking about joining the FBI, CIA, NSA, or some other similar private industry counterintelligence agent, is where you would want to go in the Army to get that experience and then part and do something with it on the civilian side. Average CIA agent salary last year was between $75,000 to $136,000. So pretty doggone good there. Number 4 on my list is a 31 Delta Criminal Investigation Special Agent. If you're thinking of pursuing a career in law enforcement after the military, then you definitely want to do this job and become a CID agent, basically. As the title implies, CID Special Agents, they conduct investigations into felony level charges involving the Army. A little fun fact for you, lower than felony level charges are investigated by MP. Because the investigations sometimes lead to charging military personnel, 31 Deltas act independently from the big Army operations, if you will. You should know that there are a few catches to becoming a CID Special Agent. Here's the catches to being a CID agent. You have to already have been in the Army and have a pay grade of E4 or above to join. You have to have 60 semester credits from an accredited institution, and you have to have completed basic leaders course. A few years of service in the military police may be enough to get you a job in law enforcement at your local, county, or state level. However, CID Special Agents, if you have that on your resume, it's likely that you can easily land a job with one or more prestigious law enforcement institutions like FBI, Department of Homeland Security, or even the NSA. Average FBI agent salary as of last year was a little over $137,000. Number 3 on my list, 25 Sierra, which is a satellite communications system operator maintainer. Man, that was a mouthful. So they are subject to earn a special enlistment bonus up to 40 grand. In addition, you can easily be set up for a successful career after the military. 25 Sierras go through 18 weeks of specialized training to learn ins and outs of satellite communication, hence the title, right? So global communications is key to success on the battlefield. And so with that being said, 25 Sierras, they have to be confident that they can keep up lines of communication up and running at all times. So after leaving the Army, how you want to convert this over as a satellite communication operation specialist and maintainer, they can work in a variety of interesting and in-demand job fields. So these include places like airports, telephone companies, and police and fire stations. There are a number of reputable companies that partner with the military that are looking to hire former 25 Sierras, such as like T-Mobile, Comcast, Cisco Systems, and stuff like that. Stuff that I don't know about. Anyways, the average pay for a satellite communications technician last year was a little over $46,000. So that's fairly decent, but there's always more to be made. All right, number 2, Geospatial Intelligence Imagery Analysis, or a 35 golf, with a comfy bonus averaging about $7,000. They have bonuses like all the time. Geospatial Intelligence Imagery Analysts, they deduce information from like aerial and satellite photography. So that's Army 35 golfs at work, right? So you can figure out, like, it's just imagery, y'all. So 35 golfs, they gone through a demanding 24 weeks of advanced individual training right after basic training. Once they graduate that, the skills they gain will include the ability to like write reports based on imagery analysis, the know-how to implement overhead and aerial imagery collection, and a deep familiarization with computer-based and aerial programs. That sounds pretty high speed. Furthermore, with software like Google available in every business, top tech companies are always seeking people with the skills that 35 golfs have obtained. Companies like Apple, Facebook, and Google, as previously mentioned, are gonna be on the list, right? Average salary for a geospatial intelligence imagery analyst of last year was a little bit over 71,000. That's a pretty good starting salary cap. My number 1 on the list is Cyber Operations Specialist, or 17 Charlie. To compare 17 Charlie, it was like if the infantry is at the front line of war on the ground, then the Cyber Operations Specialists are the first to fight in the digital world. I know it sounds corny, but cyberspace is big, y'all. In the most exciting times, cyber ops specialists, they work hard to lead defensive and offensive operations that serve the US military cyberspace domain. However, on a regular day, a 17 Charlie works as the IT guys of the Army. They're computer experts, maintaining vital firewalls and securing routers in case of security breaches. Training for cyber ops specialists is long and highly technical. A 17 Charlie spends a total of 45 weeks learning coding and hacking procedures. It should go without saying that the Army cyber operations specialists are set up for a competitive, high-paying jobs once they leave the service. If I had a job, I would do my one little term, try to get all the additional tech classes that I need, and then bounce. But I'm not. So federal departments such as FBI, CIA, NSA are always looking for, you know, recruitment of 17 Charlies, as well as privately owned businesses such as Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman corporations and stuff, you know, corporations like that, right? So average cyber ops special salary at Lockheed Martin last year was between $102,000 and $111,000. Man, there's money to be made. And what I would say is the Army sets people up for success. You got to give a little to get a little sometimes, and I know that's not the right saying for that. Is no quid pro quo, nothing like that. But sometimes if you have nothing and the Army is a good route to go, you can benefit from it on the outside once you've completed your term of service. Anyways, hope this video was a little bit interesting for you, gave you some insight, especially for those who are thinking about joining the military. If college isn't a route for you and you want to serve your country and then still get something out of the deal on the civilian sector, hopefully these top 10 Army MOSs piqued your interest. And like always, you only got one life. Stay humble, be great, love yourselves so you can love somebody, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.